let's go make a precious rag tote bag. But first, always remember to share this so it will save to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. I started with 54 5" by 5" squares, 27 for the front and 27 for the back, and 2 pieces of flannel for the insides of each one of our pieces. Now I've sewn a whole bunch of mine together, every one of them except for one I've already made the X on because I want to show you how I did this one. This is called Bloom and Sew by Andover, and y'all, the whole collection is adorable. So we're gonna take our pieces. We're gonna lay the first piece 5" by 5" square face down. We're gonna put our 2 pieces of 5" by 5" flannel. You can use batting if you want to. Just make sure you cut it about an inch smaller, so 4 inches by 4 inches, so you don't have that hairy hanging out. And then put your second piece of fabric face up. So your fabric is facing outside. One's face down, one's face up. If you wanted to make this and you didn't want to use cotton fabric, you can use all flannel. So cute. Or you can use flannel on the outside and cotton batting on the inside. You just want to make sure that some portion of your rag quilt is flannel because that's what makes it fray so pretty. So now I'm going to sew a straight stitch from corner to corner and corner to corner, just like I did all of these. And after you're finished, you'll have 27 sewn pieces. You'll have 27 pieces that look like this, that have the X sewn in the center, fabric on the outside of both sides.
And Amy Latta, who designed this collection, is as cute as this collection is.
Okay, so we've sewn all 27 together. Now, if I were trying to save my fabric, you know how we all do. We have that special fabric in the corner and we don't want to use it all. So if you're trying to save your fabric, instead of doing the 5 by 5" squares, you could do a 5 by 5" square of your print on the front, and you could use the same fabric on the back of your bag. So you could do all of this in a solid print and just the front of your bag in a pretty print if you had something you wanted to use. Now our bag is going to be 3 across and 3 down. So now I'm going to lay my pieces out like I want them, or like I think I want them. If you notice, I have 2 piled on top of each other because I think I'm going to try to make the front and the back of my bag the same. So this is what the front and the back of my bag are going to look like. Now I need 3 for each side. So this is going to be the sides of my bag, and then I need 3 for the bottom. And evidently, maybe I need a math lesson because I have an extra one. Now we're going to sew our rows together. We have 1 row to sew together for the bottom, 1 for each side, and then I'm going to sew the 3 rows together for the front and the back of our bag. I'm going to pick up the first 2 and I'm going to lay them with the pretty side on the outside. And I'm going to sew this with a wider seam allowance than I normally use so that when I'm clipping it, hopefully I won't cut my seams, or when I do, maybe I will cut fewer of them than I have been cutting. I'm going to backstitch when I start and when I stop because my grandma said so. Now I'm going to take the 2 that I've just sewn, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to grab the 3rd one, and I'm going to place it pretty side on the outside. So pretty side on the outside, pretty side on the outside, and I'm going to sew it the same way. And that is going to be the bottom of our bag. The next thing I'm going to do is sew all of my rows. I'm going to sew mine, you sew yours, and then we'll put it together.
Amy Latta was at the influencer luncheon that I was at when I was at the Missouri Star Quilt Company's birthday bash. And y'all, she's adorable. She was so sweet. And she just wrote a book called Quilting for Everyone. And her personality was just as adorable as these fabrics are. She had a new fabric release at the birthday bash, and it's available now to everybody. It's called Sunny Honey by Andover, and it's adorable too.
Okay, we've sewn all of our pieces together. We're going to put our sides and the bottom to the side for just a minute, and we're going to sew the front and the back together. So to sew the front and back together, we're going to pick up the first 2 rows. We're going to lay them pretty side on the outside, just like we've been sewing, and we're going to sew right here. Then we're going to open that up and add this one the same way. So now we're going to sew the front, and then we're going to sew the back.
This is my first time making a rag bag, but I'm loving all of the rag quilt projects currently. First of all, because they're super cute. Second of all, because you don't have to do anything. When you're finished, you're finished. You're not sending it off to a quilter to be quilted. Normally for my tutorials, this sewing machine mat is amazing because I can just push the machine out of the way to show you the next step. But today, I'm just chasing this machine down.
Now, we're going to add the sides and the bottom of our bag. The first thing we're going to do is take the bottom of our bag and we're going to place it just like this. We're gonna sew it just like we have sewn the 3 rows. We're gonna sew it to the bottom, and then we're gonna sew the other side to the bottom. Okay, this is the bottom of our bag, and this is the other side. We're gonna sew that together. I wanna sew it like that. I'm sewing it upside down. It's now not gonna match on both sides, but I decided I don't care. Okay, this is what we have so far. This is a part of our bag. Now this piece is gonna go in here, like this. So we're gonna sew down until we get to the corner, and then we're gonna turn it, and we're gonna sew it like this, and then we're gonna turn it again and sew it up the other side on both sides of our bag, with the pretty sides on the outside.
This is really the only tricky part of the bag, and if you take your time and make sure your seams match as you go, I promise it's going to be okay. But if you get to the bottom and you're not sure what to do, just stop and go sew the other side of the bag down, and that way when you're finished you can just sew across the bottom. That is how I used to do it before I figured out exactly what I was supposed to be doing, because it made it easier for me to sew down both sides and then sew straight across the bottom. Either way you do it is perfectly fine, I promise. And if it's not perfect, that's okay too.
If this is not the cutest thing. Okay, so here's our bag. Now I'm gonna go and sew all the way around the top to give us something to clip. And then we're gonna add some handles. I have 2 pieces of cotton webbing. Now mine are 28 inches long. You can make them longer or shorter, however you want to make them. I'm going to take the first piece and I'm going to put one end of it about center of the block that's on the left side of the front of my bag. And I'm going to make sure it's not twisted, and put the other piece about center on the block that's on the right side of the front of my bag. Do you see that? And I'm coming down about 2 inches, and I'm gonna pin that. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. I'm gonna put this strap here, and then I'm gonna make the straps match where they go on the other side of the bag. Now, here's where my straps are gonna go. I'm gonna go and sew a square at the bottom and then an X through my square on all 4 straps. I'm just sewing it with a straight stitch, but I am back stitching when I start and when I stop, because y'all know my grandma scared me. She said that if I did not back stitch, my stuff was gonna fall apart. And instead of a square, I'm gonna sew a rectangle. I'm gonna sew from the top of the bag all the way down to the bottom of my strap, and then I'm gonna sew my X.
I did sew the rectangle, but I did not sew the X because I should have sewn the straps on before I sewed the bag pieces together. This bag is hard to maneuver under the sewing machine. So when I make my next one, I'll put my straps on first. And in that case, yes, I will sew the X.
Okay, we've sewn our handles on. Now we're gonna clip it. I'm clipping mine with these handy dandy Fiskars spring action shears. They're linked in my Amazon storefront. This link in the caption if you're looking for them. If not, you can use your regular scissors, or maybe you have a pair. These are a lifesaver for clipping rag quilts. It's what they're made for, and they're kind of genius. Now, y'all keep yelling at me that I'm clipping my stuff too far apart, and you know what? You're right. You are absolutely right. I was clipping it about 1/2 inch. Somebody said 1/8 of an inch, and I can tell you, I don't think I have the patience for that. But I am trying to clip it about 1/4 of an inch, but the closer you clip it, the furrier it will be. So you clip yours, and I'm gonna clip mine. So I finished clipping mine, and I've started scrubbing it with a nail brush because I'm impatient, not because of any other reason. Now this is just a regular nail brush that you clean your nails with. You can put it in the washer and dryer and get the exact same thing. When you stick it in the dryer, clean your lint catcher out before it goes in, and then every 10 minutes while it's running, because all of this lint you see will end up in your dryer. So you want to make sure you keep it cleaned out. And you may want to clip it outside so your husband doesn't get mad. Oh my goodness, look how cute this is. Now, I'm going to finish scrubbing mine while you go make yours. This is adorable. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.